We need to talk about this. We're always told the internet is the best way to learn new skills, but it's never been easier to learn to program, or to learn any new skill for that matter, than now. We're told that because the internet is so chock full of YouTube videos, blogs, tutorials and guides that can teach you just about anything, that the access to knowledge has never been easier. But this is wrong. Let me show you why and what you can do about it. So, I'm guessing if you're watching this video, then you probably want to learn how to program. Maybe to make a video game in Unity or a similar engine, or maybe just some personal project of yours, like making a website or a toaster that also massages your feet. Whatever it is, you've come to the internet, the fountain of all knowledge, to figure out these 3 things. What it is you actually need to learn, how you can learn those things, and for the learning itself. The thing is, the internet really isn't great for the first 2 of these. I've lost count of the amount of tutorial content I've viewed over the years, teaching you how to program this or that. But while this is the greatest strength of the internet, it's also why beginners feel out of their depth and give up. Let me explain. Internet tutorial content is so focused on giving you the tiny details. Stuff like,
go under create and select 3D object cube. This spawns a new cube
bracket, and then you have a closing curly bracket. No.
that you stop understanding what you're doing. You blindly follow tutorials showing you how to make a game or a website, but you never learn how it really works. That's where this video comes in. In the next however many minutes, we're going to go over the fundamental concepts at the core of learning how to program, and how you can start learning this powerful skill. They say the best way to learn is by doing, so let's break out the courses and dust off the tutorials and just get stuck in. But how? How do you start a personal project? And how do you know which language to pick? How on earth do you really learn to code? This is where I got stuck for a long time when I was starting out. I tried watching tutorial series on YouTube, I tried diving into massive personal projects I had no hope of ever finishing. I even tried getting a mentor to teach me, but I just couldn't figure out how on earth I was meant to learn to program. Was I stupid? Did I need to go to university and spend 3 or 4 years learning full time to get it? No, I was just trying to learn in the wrong way. Let me show you how to avoid all this and learn to program in no time. If you're starting out, a personal project can make all the difference in keeping you motivated. Having a project to track your progress and work towards goals with can be a really useful tool. It also forces you to learn the practical things you're really going to need. When picking a personal project, choose something small. It might seem boring, but keep it simple for your first one. If you're making a game, probably keep it text-based, for example. The main thing here is just making solid progress on a little project to give you confidence in what you're doing. I'm guessing everyone could see this coming. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. You can learn anything on an online course, and there's some really great stuff out there nowadays. I'll leave some great courses in the description for you all to have a look at. Some of them are free, so have a look below. This is probably the single best free way to learn to program. It's by using some of these free websites that I've got on screen now. They're all below, but basically these websites are all educational sites that teach you to program with step-by-step courses. They give you little coding challenges and certificates. I've used a couple of these over the years, and yeah, they really work. They're a really approachable way to learn. The websites that are on screen now are basically the top programming forums. There are others, like the Unity forum, depending on what you're doing, but Stack Overflow is probably the most popular of them all. If you ever get stuck with a problem, which you will, someone on Stack Overflow has almost definitely had the same problem before. If not, you can always post and get someone else to have a look at your code and help you out. Okay, last but not least, a couple really great books for programming. I wouldn't start off with these because you probably need at least a basic understanding of how programming works to really get the most out of these. But here's 2 books, Clean Code and Code Complete. These will help you take your code to the next level. Again, the links will be below. So, I've given you the tools to learn to code, but to kickstart your learning journey, in the next 5 minutes I'm going to break down this script, step by step, and take you through everything that you need to know about the basic fundamentals to learn to code. Let's dive in. So what actually is coding? Coding is just the action of writing code. It's what a software developer gets paid to do. It's what web developers do. And code? Well, code is just a set of instructions written in a language computers understand. And an IDE, or integrated development environment, is what we use to write our code in. I use Visual Studio. It's a good free IDE, but there's loads to choose from. They're all a little different. For example, if you're learning Python, I'd recommend PyCharm. Okay, cool. So we know what coding is, and we know what software we need to do it. But what now? Variables. Variables are, according to Google, a value that can change. It's sort of in the name. They're variable. And they come in a few flavours. Now, as it turns out, there's quite a few, but for now, I'm going to give you the 4 basic ones. Integers, or whole numbers. Floats, which are fractional numbers like 3.14 or anything like that. Booleans, which are true or false. And strings, which are text. And when you're coding, you use these to store data. Let's say, for example, I'm making a calculator. I need variables to hold the input numbers. Probably floats in this case. Another for the operator. I can use this data to calculate the result and store that in an output float. So that's great. I've got a little script here and we understand all of these parts, the variables. But what are these bits? They are functions. A function is a chunk of code that performs some sort of calculation. What makes it a function though is this bit. It's grouped together into a single unit and we can run whatever we want in here. We can call it down here and we can run it every second. This is huge. But what if we want to run a function more than once? Or as long as the user is doing a certain thing? The answer? Loops. There's a couple different types, but I'm only going to cover 2 simple ones here. For loops and while loops. A for loop looks like this. It may look a bit baffling to start, but they're not too bad, I promise. This declares an integer variable that we'll use to check if the for loop is finished. This checks if we're at the end of the loop, and this increases the value of that variable we declared by 1 every time the loop runs. Basically, we can use a for loop to run a function or some code X amount of times. We might use this if we wanted to do something to each member of a list, like this example. And then there's while loops. These are a little bit different in purpose. A while loop will run as long as something is true. For example, while this integer is equal to 5, run this code. While the player is in water, run this code. Or make a splashing sound. They're great, and they're simple. But how do we figure out if something is happening? With if statements. If statements are a type of conditional that work as you'd expect. If this is true, then run. If not, don't. We can make them a bit more complicated by adding an else down here, and if else is just a if it's true, run this. Otherwise, run this. If statements are super simple, but they define so much of how programming works. They are how we calculate complex stuff that requires more than just 1 or 2 numbers to work. Okay, cool. So we've covered off the fundamental basics, but now it's over to you to apply this to your project. Pick up and learn a language that fits your needs and enjoy the process of learning to program. Let the adventure begin. And with that, you have everything you need to learn to code. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. Part 2 is coming out next week. So if you're in the future, it might already be out. In that one, I'm going to get into the weeds of writing clean code. So if you're a bit more experienced or you're new but you want to learn the right way, make sure you give that one a watch. And again, in the description, I've linked a ton of amazing resources that I've used to learn in the past. Please go check them out. I'm sure they'll help you a lot. I'm not affiliated with any of them. They're just really great sources to learn from. And that's it. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I make game dev videos for Unity and more general tutorials like this one. So if that's your bag, join the community. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. for the few of you that are still here, this is a bit of a new video format for me. It takes a lot longer to make one of these in my normal videos. So if you liked it, or if you have any ideas, please put them below. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thanks for watching.